in here, I want to talk a little bit about a male-friendly church. And because, when I use the words masculine, relationally fit, a couple of things I mean by that. I hate to walk into a church and walk into the men's room and there's flowers everywhere. It just doesn't seem to fit. I think, if we're going to have a successful men's ministry, we do need to think about how those things look. Is it feminine or masculine? Those are, believe it or not, and relationally fit. And one of the things I mean by that is when I say no hand holding. As guys, we put a hand on somebody's shoulder. That's cool. We can do a fist bump. That's cool. But when two guys go to hold hands, we've got a problem. Why? Because all of us go for the dominant hand. Instinctively, when a man and a lady is holding hands, the man has the dominant hand. And so there's an immediate awkwardness. Think about it. And so those are things that, we're really not, small group praying, unless it's just guys. And I think it's very great if it's guys. But if there's a lady in the crowd, guys aren't going to talk much. That's the posture you get. And I'm going to ask you how many times you actually feel that way. And so when I say sloppy at coffee, you guys are not going to, just some of the hugging stuff. I'm not complaining, I'm not saying fussing at anybody. I'm just saying I think that we need to think about what we're doing. Men that feel like, for a man that doesn't know God especially, to walk into a church, that's what we've got to think about. That's our point of reference. I'm not talking about Christian men. I'm talking about men coming in to the church for a Sunday morning service. If you've got a worship set and they're singing on the soprano notes, I'm lost. Because I can't hit them. I mean, even when I stomped my toe the other day, I couldn't hit that note. I'm just telling you. The other fact is the guys were in the tent sleeping, so I knew I couldn't. And I was a man, so I wasn't going to tell them I hurt myself. I grabbed an old sock and wrapped that toe up, went back in my sleeping bag, and told them the next morning.
Let them do the first aid then.
So just being that way, I think it begin to look at churches, look at the way we do things, and because here's what I know. A church can be female friendly, and men probably won't go nearly as quickly. A church can be masculine friendly, and it will not inhibit the ladies from coming whatsoever.
Right.
It really won't. And I know in the years that I was pastoring, I often referenced men in the message. Referenced men things. Funny part, the ladies would always tolerate it.
Sure.
They didn't care. And occasionally I'd throw in something a little different, because I'm a terrible cook, I'm terrible at directions. I told the guys in the first session I have a GPS in my car, and I still miss turns. And one day I was on the phone with my wife, and she said, "Why didn't you listen to GPS?" I said, "Well, honey, truthfully, it has a lady's voice on it." I think it was too much. Sometimes I just choose not.
Turn that one off.
Oh, she really meant to spend turn there? Really? And I hear those famous words. What are they? Recalculating. So it's just making it a male-friendly church and letting guys be a part of it. Because church is truthfully and by design highly relational, and while men are not. And I think there's a reason for that. I think God created us that way for specific reasons because of things that we have to deal with in life. Our ability to connect and disconnect, I believe, is the grace of God in our lives at times. So I think there's a positive of that, but the negative is that when we come into settings that we need to connect and be relational, it's almost like a foreign language to us. And so it's figuring out how to speak that language and how to have our churches where a man can walk in off the street and feel like he can belong to it and helping him to succeed. So that's just kind of a little bit of bonus. Let me jump in a little bit more. And I love this commercial.
Hey, ladies. Enjoying the film? Of course not. Because this is our movie! And Dr. Pepper 10 is our soda. It's only 10 manly calories, but with all 23 flavors of Dr. Pepper. It's what guys want, like this. Catchphrase. So you can keep the romantic comedies and lady drinks. We're good. Dr. Pepper 10, it's not for women!
Is that a real commercial?
It is! Yeah, it's a real commercial that was shown on TV. You can get it off YouTube. They've got a couple others, and I like it. I really do. I have to give kudos for the company. Because I think there's sometimes that we need to say, this is for men. It's not for women. It's not designed for women. I could say a whole lot. Because it's not. And men's ministry needs to be designed for men because ministry to men is going to be different than women's ministry. You know what the ladies' idea of a great time is? They want to have this nice setting, this little tables, tablecloths, flowers, place settings, music in the background, some mints on the table.
My wife likes Walmart.
Maybe have tea there. Guys, do we care about that? Not a bit. We just soon go sit on a picnic bench and have some barbecue.
Without any tablecloth.
Yeah, no, that just gets messed up. It just gets in our way.
That's right.
Give us a roll of paper towels and we're good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we like to go to those restaurants where you can eat the peanuts and throw the shells on the floor. It's the only time we can throw something on the floor and get away with it. It's just different.
Yeah, but then you feel guilty.
Especially when your wife's watching you.
Yeah.
You brush them off real quickly.
Wait till she's not looking.
That's right. No one shoulder. But when you begin, I'm picking this from, let's say you don't have men's ministry existing. We're talking there and then kind of talk about where you have ministries working. The most important thing is gathering the crew is selecting the captain and his team. I'm going to say this, your pastor must be engaged in men's ministry or, depending on your church, a member of the pastoral staff. Now, he's not to lead the ministry. He can't. Too many other ministries cry for his time.
That's right.
Too much responsibility. But I will say he needs to be a part of it if possible. And in a larger church setting, sometimes a staff pastor. Again, not leading it, but being a participant in. Because these are the leading men of the church. If they will do it and talk about it, it makes all the difference in the world. And if you've got even a larger church setting, if your lead pastor can show up and participate when he can, I'm going to tell you what, that just builds so much momentum amongst the men. They may never say it, but it matters. It really does. And I know he's working with all the other ministries, but men's ministry, in my opinion, is the most difficult ministry to do, but has the highest yield and payoffs of all the ministries. I believe that. The reason I believe that is the statistics that I read that tells me when a man comes to know Jesus Christ, 9 out of 10 times his family comes to know Jesus Christ.
That's right.
That is the highest level percentage of any level. years and years we built our churches around children's ministries, youth ministries. I believe in those. I'm engaged in Royal Rangers myself personally, in the local church as well as leading it. I've been a youth pastor, but I can tell you, getting the youth and kids, you're only about a 30 to 40% chance of ever getting the parents in church. That's how low the percentage is, believe it or not.
That's right.
When you get the men in the church, you get the family. Because Dad will say, we're going to church. And most of the time, his wife's been wanting to go anyway. And if he can take the lead, boy, when Dad takes the lead, things happen. I don't know if you're like me. In my house, I'm called the pusher. Anybody of you get nicknamed that? It's time to go. Let's go. Where's the boys at? In the van. Let's roll. Let's roll. Let's go. Hammer. You got. Anybody like that besides me? Or anybody going to admit it besides me? Now, I'm glad I don't have to preach a message on patience. My parents tell me I've got all the patience in the world because I've never used a bit of it. I was known as I'm the youngest of I have a brother and sister, and I was known as the most impatient one of the whole family. I had impatience, and I always asked why. Why? Why? I still ask why. That's okay. Anyway, think about this. Pastoral leadership, you want a key man. I call him the captain of the ship. He's your men's leader, men's director. He's the guy who's going to spearhead the ministry. But among him, he must have at least a couple of guys with him. If you have one guy leading the ministry, it is not going long-term to be successful. Because one guy can't come up with all the ideas. He needs help. So he needs to build a 2 to 3 person team with him to help him lead the ministry among men. To dream about the trip. To map out the voyage. Where are we going? I can't imagine getting on a ship and asking the guy, where are you going? That way. Oh, I see the ocean. I don't know if you're going left, right, north, south, east. I don't have a clue. I didn't wait till the stars come out and see if I can figure out where the North Star was. I mean, I'm a ranger. I didn't get my compass out. Then I could help it. You know what I'm saying? You got your leadership team as your compass. Where are we going? Crews, your leaders, passengers, the men who come. Plan the voyage. I'm absolutely solid on this part. When you do a men's ministries gathering, you must have a clear start and stop time and hold to it. Your guys' time is so valuable, especially as weather breaks. And if a man can come to your gathering and say, okay, it's going to end at 9:30, he's banking on the end at 9:30. Let me tell you something else. His wife is really banking on that it ends at 9:30. So you need to be aware enough to say, okay, it's over at 9:30 now. That doesn't mean you have to stop everything. It's saying we're officially in at 9:30. Guys got to go. Please have a great day. Now, there may be some guys want to hang around and talk. That's up to them. But you have released them. That way that man can count on, because he's probably got a baseball game to go to for his son or daughter, soccer game, big anymore, or his wife wants him to mow the grass. We're going to be mowing grass for us. Boy, doesn't that sound odd? We pushed snow all winter, now we got to cut grass. Just don't get a break, do we? I mean, there's stuff to do. And most guys' day off is on Saturday. So time is limited. So begin to build credibility by starting and stopping on time. Pass out the life jackets. Well, that sounds pretty interesting. What I mean by that is that when you have your gatherings, it's communicating the fact that this gathering is a safe place for discussion. In fact, in our men's ministry, the local church I attend, we make it very clear at the beginning of the meeting, what we talk about in this room never leaves this room. Guys, we are not built to emotionally talk about the things that matter most. And it's because of just what Pastor Brian said, we don't trust. We've been burnt too many times. All of us have been burnt. I've been burnt. To where we become very selective. And it makes sense. You know, if you injure your elbow on this hand, you're going to protect it. You'll be careful with it because you know how bad it hurt when you injured it. And so in order to protect that, and sometimes emotionally we've been hurt, and so we protect it. So it has to be a safe place that it can be talked about. And it's building a safe place. And we went as far to say in our men's ministry that if you break your confidence, we're probably going to ask you not to come back. I know it sounds a little rough, but for the good of the group. Have an agenda. Food is not the agenda. And that's not mean we can't have food, because obviously we had food this morning. By the way, there's still donuts over here. But it's saying that a pancake breakfast is not men's ministries. Now you may have pancakes, great, but it's got to be more than that. Men are determining by analyzing the profit of what your gathering is to whether they will devote the time necessary to spend on it. That's our filter. And I put a no-cut policy. I was reading, and a gentleman was a chaplain of a football team, and they were meeting, and this young rookie was on there, growing in his walk with God. And as unfortunately for him, he got cut from the team. And when he did, he walked up to the chaplain and he said, "Chaplain," he said, "I've gotten cut." I said, "Does that mean we still won't be friends anymore?" The chaplain said, "It doesn't mean anything about our friendship." He said, "We're always friends." Friends is not about your performance on the football field. No cut means you keep getting guys engaged. Even when they can't make it, you still invite them. They'll come eventually. You'll be understanding when they can't make every gathering. My local church does have a monthly men's gathering. They know that I can't be there much of the time. We have one of our greeters, a male greeter, great guy, and we're getting it 2 weeks before our men's gathering. He'll be talking to the guys that come through the door, believe it or not. Say, "Hey man, we got this meeting. Can we sign you up?" Is what he says. So we know how many's up, and I'll walk to him, I'll say, "Al, I can't make it, buddy." He said, "Okay, no problem, I understand. Catch you next time." And I know sometimes this is hard because we do take ministries personal. If we care about it, we take it personal, but you can't, with a guy, you've got to give him space. Just say, it's a different ministry. And it's trying to be flexible, encouraging, and keep after it. No cut policy. We're not going to release you just because you can't make a few gatherings or just because you had a business failure. In fact, we really want you there. Guys need to know that. Hoist the mainsail. And I'll get here in a minute. There's a couple things we need to do specifically in men's ministries, but we've got to have a plan of discipleship. You guys need a cause, a reason, and a challenge. They need to know a purpose. We are goal orientated. We like to get things done, except when we are doing nothing. By the way, sidebar. Do you understand that women do not get it when we say we're actually doing nothing? Let me explain that for just a second. This off the cuff. Ladies do not have a place called nothing. Their minds are like ping pong. You may not ping pong, pinball. You may remember. I know I'm old. They're bringing it back, by the way. Pinball machines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, they bought bing, 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 bing. That's how a lady's mind goes. Bing, 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 bing. I mean, they're talking that thing about 10 times all at once. Good grief, slow down! One thing at a time. That's how God wired us, by the way. One thing at a time. So when I tell my wife I'm not doing nothing, no, really, what are you doing? Really? I'm doing absolutely nothing. What do you think about it? Nothing.
Same thing I did yesterday.
So just understand, your wife doesn't get it, your spouse, your secret, they don't get it. It's okay. Thank God we have nothing box. That was excellent. But we do need something, and friendship, and here's truth. 9 out of 10 guys do not have one close personal friend. 9 out of 10. I wouldn't dare ask this in a public setting. If I were to ask this group, how many of you have a single, close, personal male friend in your life? It would be a very small percentage of us. Your men's gatherings are a place to build that, because we need other guys in our lives. There are things we can tell a guy we can't tell our spouse. My wife got an education with 4 boys in the house about how the male thinks about certain aspects of life. You know, I'll never forget when she was bathing our 2-year-old, our first son, and she was washing private parts and realized that those private parts responded. She grew up with a sister. That was it. She's never been around boys. I had to say, yeah. It only gets worse. Wait till puberty hits. You know, you see your boys going around as young as, you know, their hands in their pants. Yeah, they need to stop doing that, but just being real with you guys. And need a close personal friend. So this is a safe place, an area to create those friendships, to learn about God, to be involved in something larger than ourselves. We want a cause. We want a reason to exist. Can men's ministry provide us something larger? A task, something we can do together, a project. That's what guys are looking for. Let me go back. I'm going to backtrack just a second. There are 2 clear directives. I think there are 2 very specific things to accomplish in men's ministry. One, of course, is, I think, the most underlooked and underdone is discipleship. Discipleship is, you know, making, I'm going to skip down, the end goal is to be better followers of Jesus Christ. And so we do that through, and I use the word facilitated discussion. We reach to, you know, not book heavy. Let me back up. Here's what I mean by that. I'm not saying we don't use curriculum. You know, we refer to the Knight's curriculum. You know, good stuff. You use curriculum, but a guy is not going to go and read a book and come back and discuss it next month.
Remember 20 minutes later.
If he read it. And I would make this statement, and I know it's a generalized statement. Most guys, unless probably the exception of this is more of a white collar professional, don't read many books anyway. And I'm going to ask you how many times last time you read a book all the way through. We might glance in a magazine. We might look at the pictures on instructions. We might throw them away like I had done before. But one time I bought my wife this nice, beautiful microwave hutch. I mean, it was a big rascal. Pulled out the instructions. I don't read them this time. They were all in French. I kid you not. There was no English instructions anywhere in that box. They were all in French. Now, I know about a thumbnail's worth of Spanish. French? Are you serious? Them guys always want to do is go to the bathroom. That's right. You don't understand. Thank God for internet. I got a website and download instructions in English. I needed them that time. The pictures were very vague.
They were in French too.
Might as well be. So it's, but it's saying we use curriculum as a guide, but don't expect guys to do a lot of reading. I'm being front. Use this guided discussion. Fill in the blanks. I guess what your curriculum is talking about, you know, where they can listen and kind of fill in the blank and things and pick up and discuss and talk about it. Guys will be a part of a guided discussion. They really will be. But always be cognizant of start here, we're ending here. Because they've got other things to do. Second thing they want is engagement. I call this the cause. And again, I'm throwing things up because of my experience of talking with people. A men's ministry is not just a work day. I've heard pastors call it their men's ministry. Oh, we have men's ministry. We get together about once every 2 months and do some work around church. Nothing wrong with doing work. Guys enjoy doing work. And that can be an offshoot of men's ministries. So I'm saying though, but if that's all you've got, you don't have men's ministry, you have a church work day. Now guys do like to be engaged in projects. They want a mission. And so, maybe there is something around church they can rally around for half a Saturday morning. Guys love to work together. Guys will become relational as they work. Women relate face to face across the table. Men relate shoulder to shoulder doing something. You get to know more men in the workplace, more about their life than any other time.
Yes.
Because while you're doing something, you're talking.
Yes.
Whatever it is you do, you're talking about life. And if there's something really significantly happening in his life, when you're in the middle of doing something, he said, man, my son, what am I going to do with him? That comes out with conversation. Then you begin to talk. Why? Because you're shoulder to shoulder. It's how we operate. So it's giving those opportunities to do that, but also something bigger. And when I say, think about your church, every church is different. Every geographical area is different. Of things you can do together. What may be great in one area may not be great in another area. In your church, it could be guys, you got a large percentage of guys that have motorcycles. You can have a motorcycle ride. We did that and invited some unsaved guys to join us. Yeah, it's fun. We roll around, ride a couple hours, stop and have lunch and have prayer. Boy, isn't that interesting? See those guys don't know Jesus. They kind of look around. But what a chance to be around godly men. To know that you can be a Christian and have great fun. And or if that's not the thing, maybe it's golf. We were talking about the other, we're going to create a new sport in golf. What you're going to do, you're going to get there and you're going to tee it off the driver and then throw the driver down, grab a shotgun, and hit it in the air while it's going.
Yeah.
Or take a 22 and drive it down the range. I like both worlds. I'm just telling you. I'm a hunter. I'm a shooter. I'm a sportsman. Ride motors. I like to do lots of things.
Amen.
I like to tinker on the car and work on it some until it gets over my head, and I have to take it to somebody else to fix it after I've messed it up. I'm really what they call a shade tree mechanic. I stay on the shade tree more than I'm a mechanic. But finding what works, and think about this in your area. What if you give a guys a calls, for instance? Maybe you have a church, you have a lot of single moms. Single moms have cars. You know what garages that don't fear God do to ladies who bring in a car for repairs? Take advantage of it. Imagine if you could once every 3 months have a half a day on Saturday. So we're going to change oil on all the seniors and the single moms' cars. Guys do that. They'd love to do it. They've made a difference. Go to a senior's home and cut a tree down that needs down, because if he has to pay somebody to do it, it's $300 to $400 to do it. Give them a cause, give them a reason, get a mission. Go on a missions trip together. Short-term missions trip. We do extreme church makeovers in our district where a guy can go on a 3-day journey in the district and work on a church with us. And we hope it feeds into another missions trip overseas. Get them used to the idea. And some guys can't go overseas. If they own their own company, they can't take 7 or 8 days away. Anybody here own their own business or have owned their own business? I mean, getting away is a big deal. And so you can give me a couple of days, but some guys give me a week. That's just really, really tough. So it's finding something to engage them in. So let me back up just a bit. I know I'm going forward, so I'm backing up just a little bit. I'm thinking about when you're going to start if you're going to start a men's ministry, or if you've got men's ministry existing, I would urge you, have that core team. That's it, 2 to 3 guys plus the captain. If you can have if it's a large church, you can have a staff pastor just kind of meeting with you, or maybe even an occasional pastor. We're going to do prayer and planning. Let's not overlook prayer. I know we're task orientated. We want to jump in and we want to do it. We want it done. The motto used to be, "I want it done yesterday." Patience. I'm the most patient person around, so I've never used it. But let's form that team. Let's pray and ask God, because God can drop things into your mind that maybe you've never seen, never done, never tried, but will work. One of our guys on staff at the office says this: you're going to have a lot of good ideas, but one God idea will trump every good idea. So let's ask God to speak into our lives, because He may, something I've never even talked about, you've never read about, God can open up and say, "Wow, this makes sense."
Yep, that makes sense.
So let's do it that way. And again, when you're gathering at ministry together, you have the time, the place, a good place to meet in the church, not the ladies' ministry room. If you can't find a room, if you've got Royal Rangers, pick their room. By the time those boys get done Wednesday night, it'll look like a man cave. As I teach Rangers, I know we put the paraphernalia on the walls. It's about Royal Rangers, guy stuff. And go back to the goals of accomplishment. You want to plan. Here's what we're going to do for the next 12 months. Here's why we're doing it. Here's what we hope to see from it. Very simple. I like simplicity.
Who does the plan?
Yes, sir.
Who does the plan?
I think that core team does the planning. The core team. They help do the planning. And say, okay, here's where we need to go. When I think, let me move on a little bit more, that'll make it like a little bit more sense. Because I think what that planning team's going to do this. Ports of entry. Okay, I think that planning, what you want to do that planning team, okay, here's what our regular gatherings are going to look like. And I use the term regular because it may change from church to church. You might meet, I know a church that meets on Sunday mornings. Instead of Sunday school, have small groups, and one of those small groups is men's ministries. So those guys meet weekly. Some churches may meet monthly, some may meet bi-monthly. So you want to gather that planning. You want to plan, okay, here's what our regular gatherings look like. And then I think you want to talk about what are the points of interest for our guys. What are things that our guys in our church, by and large, like to do? Church I pastored was rural, semi-rural, blue-collar workers. Everybody, almost every man in that church owned a firearm. So one of the biggest hits we did was do a clay pigeon shoot. Take a Saturday morning, spend a couple hours, go to Walmart, buy a $35 clay pigeon thrower, a couple cases of birds, and tell them bring their guns and their ammo. And what we would do, here's something I need to throw out. Whenever we did a special, what I call special interest gathering, we would take time for at least a 2 to 3 minute devotion. I think every event needs a spiritual component. Now, make it appropriate to the event, like clay pigeon, 3 to 5 minutes, it's all. And if guys are into guns, I'm going to tell you the other thing, they love to show off their guns. You get a new guy come up into that, or what you do, you get your guys to invite your friends. Get your neighbor, come on. Care if he goes to church. It's a men's event. And then you walk over and says, "Can I see your gun?" I've never met a guy in my life that didn't want to show his gun off. I'm serious. Anybody ride a motorcycle here besides me? Couple of you got? You ever had a guy not want to see another guy's bike? What you drive? I always make fun of mine. I'm driving an old rice burner. I got an old Yamaha.
That's what I have.
It's a bike. I don't care. It's cool. It's a bike.
It runs.
Yeah, it's got 2 wheels and a motor. If you're not pushing it, it's good. It's good to me too. It's a good day. I'm not, but I had one time I had to push a couple times. An 84 Golden Wing that broke down, and I'm gonna tell you what, that's one heavy bike to push. Sucker weighs about 1,000 pounds. Funny part
That's
is
when you chain it to a post like your picture.
the funny part is I was out of town. My son wanted to borrow it. My son's 26. He rides, and I knew when it didn't work what to do with it. Now there's a little electrical connection, and he got that thing out, and that electrical connection came apart. And he couldn't find it. He pushed that thing almost 2 miles. Then I called him and told him. I said, "Well, if you jiggled that wire around the starter button, it would have fired up just fine."
And he says, now you're telling me.
That's right. Dad! Let's hurry up. I'll be back up a second. Guys, I want you also, one of the challenges I want to do in men's ministries, in your local church setting, create one big annual event at your church for men. Think about it. Your planning committee, you're planning your regular gatherings, you're planning points of interest, things guys can do together. Try to think about 8 to 12 months in advance. What could we do on a Saturday night to get every man in our church to show up? Maybe guys from the community and from other churches. What can we do? Who can we bring in? Can we do something with sports related, wild game, hunting, fishing, motor? Who can we do and advertising? And tie into the annual men's conference. We've had men's ministry groups started from guys just coming together to our annual Honor Bound conference that Tom Rees and I do. And those are great events to key into. And all you got to do is show up. Register and show up. And it'll build a fire in the hearts of guys. The void, keep the meetings interesting, fun, informal. Get guys talking. It's easy to get them talking. What's the first car you ever owned?
39 Nash.
9 Nash. You know, guys talking about their cars. 39 Nash. Wow. So I'm not near that old. My first car, believe it or not, was, well, I hate to say this out loud, was a Ford Granada.
Oh, you're young.
Ford Granada, except it had a 302 in it. I had dual metal Pax mufflers on the back of it. I had oversized tires on the rear, and that car would absolutely fly. It'd come out first gear at 65 miles an hour. And I held it one day. The problem was it had manual steering. And at 90 miles an hour, it would do this. And then it would kick out a second gear. There was no carbon in the carburetor of that car. All right, see what I'm saying? We've already engaged guys. Get them talking. We're not naturally relational. You start talking about those things, you can transition into spiritual. You can transition into relation. Once you begin to hook them, they will come by because they don't have any friends. Just saying, they really don't. Men draw other men. Know the season. Not all seasons are for sailing. June is not the best season to start men's ministry.
That's right.
Summertime. Guys' time is difficult. In fact, you might want to plan, if I was, back in the planning stages, my June would probably be something fun. I'd probably try to do, June would be actually a great month to do clay pigeon shooting. A couple hours. Because I know these guys, they're just so stacked for time. Wife wants them to cut the grass, amongst other things. Kids are in sports. Johnny's got a soccer game. I don't know what girls do. I don't have any girls. I know one of my guys at church, his daughter's into volleyball tournaments everywhere. It just happens. So think about that, know the seasons, but never give up. As I said earlier, men's ministry is one of the most difficult ministries, but is also one of the most fruitful. Don't get discouraged. Sometimes you have to cast the net on the other side. That's okay. Keep at it. That's why I stress that leadership team. You encourage each other. Don't be discouraged. Don't let it sink. by the grace of God, it'll be successful. And just keep working on the tools and what fits your guys. You know, because your guys are different from another church's guys. Questions and comments? I'm a minute and a half over, but we can still talk.
Well, you said you might have, don't stop the void, you have to cast your nets on the other side. What does that mean?
Simply means that if you tried one thing and it didn't work, try something else.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, it's just a fancy way of saying the same thing.
All right.
You know, hey, this event didn't go. Okay, let's not do it again. Or let's do it, always try to figure out why it didn't go. It may not have been the event at all itself, it may have been the timing. I ran across an instance. In our district, I planned a brand new men's event. It's supposed to happen next weekend. It was a shooting sports retreat. We're going to competition shoot for all types of firearms. I had to cancel it. Now the event actually was very, very well. Everybody loved the event and talked about it. What got us was timing. What I didn't realize when I scheduled the event was this weekend is our district youth convention. The weekend before that was a women's ministries retreat. And guys, especially families, they're going to pick and choose what they can afford to do. And because ours was an overnight event, I had an expense of an overnight charge, food for the event. And so it was just too much compact. And the other thing we talked about, we was going to do Friday, stop at Saturday. And the more I discussed with a couple of my guys, I got a couple guys helping me. We realized that we didn't build enough value in for the money and the time. I thought kicking out Saturday was a good thing. We discovered we need to start Friday because guys don't get into late Friday night because of travel, and we need to stay to Sunday morning. That way the guys feel like they're getting more bang for the buck. Rather than paying $100 for almost a single day event, they'll pay $120 for what they perceive as a 2-day event. So that's what I mean. Yeah, I kind of wrote it confusing. Good question. Anybody else? Guys, thanks for being here. It's been my pleasure to be here, and I hope something was helpful. And hang in there.
Amen.
You're doing good. Appreciate your time. And I want to end on time, practice what I preach. Let's have a quick prayer before you go. Father, in the name of Jesus, I pray you bless these guys. Watch over us, keep us safe.
Yes.
And Lord, help us to be successful because men are
Yes.
important to you. In Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you guys.